After like 3 years in business school, I figured out that I cannot do this. When I first started, I was 23 years old, teaching a class of 16, 17-year-olds. And it was unfair on everybody. Things like Uber and Airbnb and Dropbox, they've all come out of Y Combinator. The computer can't understand or differentiate between these things. Okay? Somebody has to label enough of these things for the computer to be able to understand. And it was harsh. It was one of the things that actually made me cry. आजकल ये products हमें अब नज़र आ रहे हैं, launch हो रहे हैं, but they've been working on these technologies since 2018 or even before that. A mobile phone company that has launched a camera with AI. I remember working on a project with them for this back in 2018 September or October. हमारी पर्टिकुलर सोसाइटी के अंदर एनी मेजर चेंज आधे से आधे लोग जो होते हैं ना, they're so afraid of it कि उनका instant response होता है इसको बैन कर दो.
Pakistan is expanding its crackdown.
Banned.
First it was Facebook, now it's YouTube.
पाबंदी आयद कर दें.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम, मैं हूँ सायरा अंसारी एंड अल्टीमेट काउंसलिंग क्लाउड शो के एक और एपिसोड के साथ हम आपके सामने हैं. और आज एक स्पेशल बात यह है कि इट इज़ नॉट जस्ट मी और जस्ट हिम, आज हम खुद एक साथ हैं. तो सर अयाज बेग इज़ ऑल्सो विद मी टुडे बिकॉज ये एक बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग सा एक टॉपिक और अपकमिंग से टॉपिक के साथ हम आए थे जिसमें हम काफ़ी बात करते रहते हैं. और अभी कुछ अर्से पहले ही, कुछ दिनों पहले ही सर अयाज ने आपको अनाउंस भी किया था कि वी विल बी टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस टॉपिक वेरी सून. सो हियर वी आर. और आज मैं बल्कि आपकी मुलाकात जो है वो एक बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग सी पर्सनैलिटी से कराने वाले हैं. ही हैज़ बिन माई कोलीग सिंस मैनी ईयर्स. उन्होंने 2009 में अपने टीचिंग करियर का आगाज़ किया एंड आई थिंक ड्यूरिंग दैट टाइम ही स्टार्टेड वर्किंग विद टेक इंडस्ट्री. उन्होंने अपनी कंपनी इस्टेब्लिश की और उसके बाद फिर टीचिंग को अभी कुछ अर्से पहले उन्होंने छोड़ के ही वॉज टीचिंग GP जनरल पेपर इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज एंड साइकोलॉजी, हैज़ बिन एसोसिएटेड विद O and A लेवल इंस्टीट्यूशंस. सो हमारी इंडस्ट्री को बिलोंग करते हैं एजुकेशन की, बट उन्होंने अपनी टेक इंडस्ट्री से जो बिलोंगिंग उनकी थी और उन्होंने अपनी कंपनी जो है वो शुरू की. सो दैट वाज अ वेरी एक्साइटिंग जर्नी. और अब उन्होंने छोड़ के इज़ कम्प्लीटली वर्किंग विद दोज बिजनेसेस इंटरनेशनली. He has been specially dealing with AI, artificial intelligence, which is an upcoming topic, which is an interest for everybody. So वो क्या है, उसकी क्या पावर है, वो किस तरह से हमें इन्फ्लुएंस कर सकता है, हमें क्या करना चाहिए उससे डील करने के लिए, ये बातें हम करते रहते हैं बहुत ज़्यादा. और आज हम आपकी डायरेक्टली उस इंडस्ट्री के ही एक इंसान से मुलाकात कराते हैं एंड लेट्स सी कि हम उनसे क्या सीखते हैं और आप लोग उनसे क्या सीखते हैं. सो लेट्स मीट मिस्टर एजाज हुसैन.
थैंक
यू एजाज फॉर जॉइनिंग अस. बहुत हमें खुशी है कि आप हैं यहाँ पे हमारे साथ.
Absolutely.
और इतने अरसे से दोस्ती है और आज इधर इस तरह से फॉर्मल से सेटअप में मैं अपने किसी भी दोस्त को अगर बुलाऊँ तो मुझे यही होता है कि एक बहुत स्पेशल तरीके से बैठना पड़ता है और बात करनी पड़ती है. बट दैट इन इटसेल्फ इज एन एक्सपीरियंस.
इतनी तारीफें तो मतलब nobody has ever done for me, so thank you very much for that, and it's a real pleasure being here.
थैंक यू सो मच. सो आप बताएं अपना जर्नी अपनी ज़बान.
So like we were talking before this, my journey is basically just ke in my life I've followed interests rather than the pursuit of money or anything else of that sort. So मैंने A-levels किया and I was a pre-med student, but my mother always told me, and she was a doctor, she was an anesthesiologist, she always told me that, you know, you can't be a doctor, you don't have the personality, the drive, the dedication. So even though I was good enough, my mother encouraged me to go towards something else and pursue something else. The other extra subject that I had was business studies, and I liked it. So I switched over to business studies and the pursuit of that. After like 3 years in business school, I figured out that I cannot do this. I cannot be expected to wear like a tie and carry a briefcase and be a corporate
style.
slave.
But you completed your degree
I
in
had
business
to
administration.
ultimately, like 3 साल बाद तो आप ये नहीं कर सकते कि you drop
Yeah.
out. So I had to ultimately finish it, but it wasn't enjoyable.
ठीक है.
Meanwhile, for like pocket money and for, you know, gaming, I always enjoyed gaming. So, and my mother would never give me any money for that. So I was teaching SATs at Aijaz Hussain, and I loved it.
Okay.
That was, I looked forward to it. So after my degree or just before that, I decided कि भाई मैं ये corporate में जाना ही नहीं है. I want to be a teacher. And
Great.
happily enough, City School PF chapter at that time was looking for an O-levels English teacher.
Okay.
And I applied, and immediately I was hired. Like the same day I had my first class.
Oh, wow.
I was
Wow.
hired on the spot. So, and then my journey with teaching began. Loved it, grew with it. When I first started, I was 23 years old, teaching a class of 16, 17-year-olds. So the age gap between me and my students was less than the age gap between me and the other people in the staff room.
True.
The students could relate to you. No?
And I could relate to them.
Yeah,
So
you
I,
could.
instead of like sitting in the staff room during breaks, because which also made me nervous because there were a few teachers there who had been my teachers. There was this one teacher, Bayoki. Her son was one of my friends in gaming. ठीक है, तो अब मुझे अच्छा नहीं लगता था कि मैं इन लोगों के
Yeah.
साथ बैठूं. So I would much rather play volleyball or football with the kids who are just like a little younger than I am. So I could relate to them, and that got me into a lot of trouble as well because the principal was like, "What the hell are you doing? You're a teacher. Act like a teacher." So I had to grow up. Take care, and I'll always be grateful to. I don't know if I'm allowed to take names, but
You can take any name that you want.
Miss Shireen Karamally,
Oh, wow.
ठीक है, was
She's an amazing person.
the one person who saw beyond my wild ways and saw कि भाई मतलब I should give this kid a chance. And she A levels GP में एक opening आई for 2 sections. She hired me after one demo class, and she was like, "कि how much money do you want?" So I said, "Miss, मुझे नहीं पता कि कितने पैसे होंगे, ठीक है, आप whatever is fair."
Yeah.
And she like wrote a pretty large amount. And I was like, "This is
For me.
for me for the whole month." And she was like, "Nee, this is for you for one
For
section.
one
Sure.
section.
You're teaching 2 to double this." And I was like, "What? इतने पैसे करूँगा क्या मैं?"
Wow.
And then 4 months later, she recommended me to City Daraksha, where again I was teaching 2 more sections, so my pay effectively doubled. And then she recommended me to City PCHS, where I was given another couple of sections, and my pay, took another
Wow.
big jump. So money, ekdam se, for a 23-year-old, I was making too much money, honestly.
We were
ठीक
working
है.
together at that time in chapter and then PCHS also. DK I was not there at that time, but I saw Aijaz teaching and talking to students. और बहुत ही popular सा teacher. और मिस शिरीन की तो खैर हम लोग
हाँ.
सब जितनी भी तारीफ करें
She's
कम
the
है.
boss.
So yeah, the
She's still
boss
the boss.
forever. Boss forever. Love you,
Absolutely.
Miss Shireen. This is for you.
Absolutely. So, I was happy, I was content doing everything. Suddenly, after, in about 2017, मेरी एक दोस्त है who lives in the US, and she's in the tech industry for a long time. She called me up and she was like, "भाई मैं I've started working for this company, and we have a website. Can you review this website for us?" I was like, "ठीक है, fine." मैंने उस website को review किया. I picked out a lot of little grammatical mistakes and everything. Also, I picked out a lot of suggestions कि इस page के बाद ये होना चाहिए, इस page में ये नहीं होना चाहिए. UI design and UX design, which honestly like was unsolicited. उन्होंने मुझसे ये चीज़ें पूछी भी नहीं थी. मैंने उनको ये सारी चीज़ें बताई and did a pretty thorough job. And 20 minutes later, she called me back and she was like, "Hey, the CFO and the CEO want to meet you.
Wow.
So, let's set up a Skype call in, let's say, half an hour, and, just talk to these guys." So I spoke to them, and immediately they offered me a job. They were like, "आओ हमारी website को सही करो, ठीक है? And we're doing a lot of AI का काम, तो उसके पीछे जो AI को ट्रेन करना है, our AI is making a lot of grammatical errors, help us with that. I was like ठीक है, but I won't quit my day job. मैं मतलब पढ़ाना enjoy करता हूँ, that is what I'm going to do. They were like ठीक है, as long as it doesn't interfere with this, you can do whatever. So I was teaching and I was working with this company called Mentat.
And back then, AI के बारे में इतनी कोई knowledge
किसी को
नहीं
भी नहीं पता. I didn't know anything
Yeah.
about it. Like I was just like an editor of a website rather than a tech professional, right? But working within that company in 2 or 3 months, they said, can you like help direct operations? Since you're in Pakistan, we need to set up a team in Pakistan and we need someone responsible that we can trust. So can you help us out with that? I said, ठीक है. So I had to like develop an office, everything like buying hardware, carpet कौन सा होना चाहिए, real estate कहाँ पे हो, everything. वो सब मैंने overnight सीखा.
Wow.
And that's where my business degree and my business knowledge came into play. ठीक है, so no knowledge goes to waste.
Absolutely.
कहीं ना कहीं से काम आ जाता है. Hiring policies बनानी है, जो भी करना है. So those things came into play there. Hired a team of 30 people. We started working, and then a month later they were like, हमारा जो second office है बांग्लादेश में, their manager is leaving. So can you control both offices? Okay, ठीक है. So I started controlling the Bangladesh office and the Karachi office, and a few weeks later they were like कि Argentina वाला जो office है वो भी हम सोच रहे हैं आपके अंडर ही डाल दें.
International.
So I was working across like so many time zones.
Wow. Wow.
ठीक है. And I was teaching, and it was unfair on everybody. It was unfair on my students because I couldn't give 110%. It was unfair on the employees. It was unfair for the company, unfair on my family, ठीक है, because I just didn't have enough energy.
Yeah.
But I kept on going, ठीक है. मैंने अपनी अम्मी से कहा कि भाई मैं जॉब छोड़ना चाह रहा हूँ, ये वो टीचिंग में क्विट कर रहा हूँ. She was like नहीं, that's something you enjoy, and more importantly that's a paycheck that is guaranteed.
Yeah.
इस कंपनी का कुछ नहीं पता कल को बंद हो जाए तुम क्या कर लोगे, ठीक है. So I kept working. Then this company was acquired. So do you know anything about Y Combinator?
Do you know anything about that?
Y Combinator is like a tech accelerator, and it is the world's most famous and the world's biggest tech accelerator. So things like Uber and Airbnb and Dropbox, they've all come out of Y Combinator.
Oh, okay.
So Y Combinator invests a little bit of money, but they also invest tech expertise and advice. So Mentat was the first Pakistani company, or the first company owned by a Pakistani to be accepted into Y Combinator, which has a very difficult acceptance rate. It very famously, like 1 out of 10,000 business ideas are accepted by Y Combinator.
Oh,
That's
okay.
huge.
ठीक है. Even to this day, there are only 6 companies, I think, that have come out of Pakistan or with Pakistani origins that are Y Combinator funded.
Okay,
Wow.
great.
So we were the first one.
Oh, okay.
And afterwards, later on, we were acquired by one of these tech giants. Unfortunately, because of some legal issues, I can't take names,
Yeah.
but it was one of the big tech companies. They acquired us, and I got a very healthy payout because I don't have an American passport, I don't have a work permit, and I'm not an engineer, so I wasn't able to, move there. Not that I wanted to, but they didn't even offer me a job. They were like, कि भाई हम आपको एक paycheck, बहुत बड़ा सा settlement check दे देते हैं. I was like, fine, great. I took that, and suddenly I had like 30 employees in Pakistan जिसको मुझे अब lay off करना है. And I said कि that's so like cruel. मैं नहीं करना चाहूँगी. So just because I had money, I had a big settlement check, I was like ठीक है, let's risk everything and let's see क्या होता है. I started emailing tech companies जितने US में मुझे याद हैं, जितने से मेरी बातचीत हुई है, ठीक है. I started emailing them कि भाई I have about 30-40 engineers, is there anything that we can do for you, ठीक है. So one company got back and they were like, we need people for data labeling. I was like, ठीक है, great, let's do it. Please मुझे ये बताओ data labeling होती क्या है, because I had no idea. ठीक है. And then this guy I became friends with in San Francisco, he explained to me what data labeling is and what we have to do with it. So basically, in short, अगर एक कैमरा से कंप्यूटर तस्वीर ले रहा है, ठीक है, it can see, let's say this mic or this phone or whatever, but the computer can't understand or differentiate between these things.
True.
Okay. Somebody has to label enough of these things for the computer to be able to understand.
Understand that.
So it's like really boring work, but somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
Some human being has to do it.
Yeah.
And that's where my company came in. With 30 people we started. Aista aista wo badhta gaya. Our specialization grew. I kept on like emailing people. Okay, you know, now we're a data labeling company. Can you give us work? And work started coming in. We grew to about 270 to 80 people at
Wow.
one point.
Amazing.
And then COVID happened. ठीक है. Suddenly, research and development projects across the US were shutting down.
Yeah.
And जब R&D खत्म हो रही है तो data labeling भी खत्म हो रही है. And suddenly, you know, I had to lay off. जो मैं 30 लोगों को fire नहीं करना चाह रहा था, now I had to lay off about 270 में से I think 30 people left. बाकी everybody had to be laid off. ठीक है. And it was harsh. It was one of the things that actually made me cry. There's nothing I can do about it. Still, we've kept on going. We're still in the growth phase now. And it's been an interesting ride. So
Great.
that's what we're doing now.
Thank you for sharing the journey with us.
Yeah.
And in this journey, you cannot take the names, but we can. He might not be working there, but that means that ChatGPT and Google and Amazon and kind of such businesses and AIs you are or have been working with in any
Yes.
other capacity.
Surprisingly
Directly or
enough,
indirectly.
आजकल ये products हमें अब नज़र आ रहे हैं, launch हो रहे हैं. But they've been working on these technologies since 2018 or even before that. ठीक है. अभी there's a tech company, a mobile phone company that has launched a camera with AI and this and that.
Yeah.
I remember working on a project with them for this back in 2018 का September या October. ठीक है. So उस वक्त से वो काम हो रहा था. 2024 में जाके उसको उन्होंने लॉन्च किया. So you can imagine the lead times
Yeah.
for tech rollout.
Oh,
So
amazing.
that comes.
Yeah,
into
so
question.
since you have been associated with this profession of artificial intelligence and tech profession, there are many speculations. People have been talking about quite positive and negative. हर तरह की बात बड़ी चल रही है. And especially in relation to the future, there is so much uncertainty. So, in a quick review, if I may ask you, okay, what will be the world look like in 2028, let's say, in relation to the AI? Or कौन-कौन सी industry, कौन-कौन से areas this AI will eventually going to touch upon?
Transformations क्या देख रहे हैं?
So that's a interesting and very loaded question. Let
I
me
know.
get my crystal ball and I wish I could give you like a concrete answer because that would mean कि I have seen the future and I can make billions.
Yep.
ऐसा तो नहीं है.
True.
ठीक
You
है.
can at least give us a hint.
हाँ, but देखें. First off, let's split your question into two parts. The first one is, as you said, कि how do you see the world in 2028?
Yeah.
Physically, it's going to be hotter and drier.
Yeah.
ठीक है, वो तो पता है. ठीक है, but technologically, it will be different. ठीक है. What we need to understand is that AI or whatever is happening is unstoppable. ठीक है. There is, and we should not be afraid of it. ठीक है. We should understand it, we should grow with it, but we can't stop it. ठीक है, एक तो हमारे यहाँ पे एक हमारी पर्टिकुलर सोसाइटी के अंदर, बट ह्यूमैनिटी एट लार्ज भी, एनी मेजर चेंज, आधे से आधे लोग जो होते हैं ना, दे आर सो अफ्रेड ऑफ इट कि उनका इंस्टेंट रिस्पॉन्स होता है इसको बैन कर दो.
True.
ठीक है, AI को बैन कर दो. अगर आप बैन कर दोगे, लेट्स से पाकिस्तान में बैन कर देते हैं, द रेस्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड डजंट, व्हाट हैपेंस?
पीछे
एक तो
जाएंगे
वैसे ही
बिल्कुल।
हम दुनिया से लेट्स से 40-50 इयर्स पीछे
हम
चल
कट
रहे
ऑफ
हैं.
हो जाएंगे.
Already
Absolutely.
वो जो रेट ऑफ डेवलपमेंट है उसको अगर हम और फर्दर रिटार्ड कर देंगे तो दैट सेज के विल बी 100 years 200 years behind then.
एक्सटेंड
So,
हो जाएंगे ऐसे।
that is not the solution.
Yeah.
Okay, the solution is to see what is coming ahead and try to be resilient and adaptable enough to face those things. Those are problems, but then in those problems there are opportunities.
Absolutely.
ठीक है, I had a huge problem कि I had 30 people I did not want to fire. ठीक है, and I didn't know what to do. I'm not a techie. I don't have like a software engineering degree. I just like took a shot in the dark, and every company that I could find, I would email कि भाई मेरे पास ये बंदे हैं. These are their qualifications. This is what I've done. This is what we will charge you. Just put us to work.
This is by
ठीक है?
itself is an amazing work, literally.
So similarly, like our country, and we have like much smarter brains than me. So those people need to, instead of thinking selfishly, need to look ahead for the country's development and society's development and see ke how can we face these challenges. ठीक है, that is the first part.
Yeah.
The second part is कि जब आप बोल रहे हैं कि कौन सी इंडस्ट्री अफेक्ट होगी, it would be easier to tell you कि कौन सी इंडस्ट्री अफेक्ट नहीं होगी. ठीक है, because every industry in the that we have
Will be
is going to be affected. ठीक है, अभी I was couple of weeks ago I was reading this very interesting article about AI in irrigation. ठीक है, इंडिया के अंदर there is a company that has developed drones that aerially map farms. ठीक है, and by looking at the color of the different plants, ठीक है, AI बैठ के डिसाइड करता है कि किस खेत को पानी देना है,
वाओ,
कितना देना है और किस टाइम पे देना है.
Oh, great.
ठीक है,
and so much of our population is in agriculture.
They are on the stake.
when this thing rolls out, what happens to the poor
Yeah.
Hari?
बिल्कुल.
ठीक है,
उनकी तो jobs will be taken away.
उनकी तो वैसी जॉब्स नहीं होती.
Yeah, yeah.
ठीक है, उनकी यूज भी खत्म हो जाएगा.
You बिल्कुल. And
What happens then?
That is one example. Then there are many. like
Everywhere. ठीक है, you have AI coming into everything. अभी पहले, आज से 3 साल पहले, अगर आपको एक पिक्चर एडिट करनी है, ठीक है, you would have to hire somebody who would open up Photoshop and charge you through the nose for it.
yes, yeah.
Today you can do it on your phone and nobody.
Just give the simple
हाँ.
instructions.
ठीक है, अब तो WhatsApp पे भी एक AI built in है, उसको
Meta.
आप cues दें, वो आपको खुद बना के दे देता है पिक्चर.
True that.
Right?
Yeah.
So there is literally no industry where AI will not have a huge impact. ठीक है, IBM Watson आज से 5 साल पहले अनाउंस किया था, $7,500 per month की सब्सक्रिप्शन है, which is a lot, but it has access to every legal case ever. ठीक है, so instead of hiring a junior lawyer to do your research and this and that, or instead of hiring 50 junior lawyers in a law firm, you just get like one Watson की subscription and you're done.
That's it.
ठीक है, so law, medicine, agriculture, every scenario that you can think of will be affected by AI.
accounting.
Yeah.
बिल्कुल. And that day we were talking about recycling also.
हाँ.
and you're
Recycling has a huge, anything with manual labor, repetitive manual labor, I think will be
Right.
disrupted by AI
By
sooner rather than later. जितना creative और जितना thought वाला काम होगा, उतना आपके पास एटलीस्ट एक मोट है before AI takes over.
yeah.
बट जो repetitive काम है जिसको ऑटोमेट कर सकते हैं, those are going to very quickly be done away with.
Yeah, so can we compare it with an alien invasion? Because humans have this challenge, yes.
Again, now this is fear that is talking.
Fear to some extent is good when we work towards facing it and preparing ourselves for it. I'm not talking about that fear कि आपने ban कर देना है, बंद कर देना है, but at least understanding the magnitude of it is important.
Okay, so let's go back, let's say 100 years or 200 years. Steam engine.
Yeah.
ठीक है?
Yeah.
The steam engine made hundreds of thousands of people, which was like a significant part of the world at that time, redundant. Factory
Yeah.
workers को जरूरत ही नहीं की,
बिल्कुल।
जरूरत कम हो गई,
बिल्कुल.
right? The development of the car made ये घोड़े और buggy
Yeah.
मतलब did away with that entire industry.
Yeah.
ठीक है? It changed the architecture of cities. ठीक है? No longer did you have to build your houses. अभी भी न्यूयॉर्क में आप जाएं तो most of the houses that are old houses वो street level से कोई 10 कदम ऊपर होते हैं. सीढ़ी बनी होती है, उसके बाद फिर वो घर
Yeah.
होता है. The reason for that is because in the old days जब घोड़े चलते थे तो it would like horses would shit all over the street,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And the stench would be horrible. अगर घोड़ा मर गया रोड पे तो वहीं पे घोड़ा छोड़ देते थे and वो घोड़ा सड़ रहा है and nobody can like pick up a horse. Bulldozers तो है नहीं उस जमाने में. It would just rot for days and weeks. So people built houses like 10-12 कदम ऊपर ताकि बदबू कम हो.
Yeah.
Today houses are built at street level. ठीक है? The architecture of cities changes
Yeah.
because of whatever technology.
बिल्कुल.
AI is, I would say, just as big of a technological leap. It will change everything, right? क्या हम इसको रोक सकते हैं?
No.
It is not an alien invasion for me. It is just the next leap in technology for mankind.
ठीक.
But don't you think this seems like quite pressing issue? कि इतनी सारी labor will be replaced with the AI. और second चीज ये कि इसका misuse. Is there any way to
Misuse.
regulate?
Yes.